Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of HealthWise. And today it's all about articles that we found about medical issues that we would like to share with everyone. So the first one, Doc, is about COVID-19. And in this article, this Italian doctor actually claims that the coronavirus has lost its potency. How is that possible? Like, what weakens the potency of the virus?
I mean, that's a bit controversial because I think even his own government and the doctors in Italy were a bit, worried about what his statement, the statement he made, because people might suddenly start becoming a bit more relaxed and say, oh, the COVID is going away. But of course, this is what happened in all sort of epidemics, pandemics. After a while, the virus might, lose its efficacy, or maybe, because maybe summer coming, so that heat might make the virus a bit less active. Also, they might get some herd immunity, so more and more people keep being exposed, so the virus can't transmit itself. So what are the reason virus will, after a while, go away or become less potent and less infective to humans? But we don't know whether we have reached that with COVID yet. We don't know whether the virus can mutate again, whether there'll be a second sort of wave. So I think too early to say that, but I hope he's right. I hope he's right, and that the virus is slowly losing its potency, just like what happens to Nipah and to SARS virus and H1N1. But SARS was faster, but H1N1 took almost a year before it slowly went off. So we're now looking at about 6 months yet. So maybe still early, but time will tell, whether the virus is losing its potency and whether it's going to go away soon.
Will it no longer exist? Will COVID-19 come to an end and it no longer exists?
We don't know. That happened with your SARS. I think SARS just went away, and it was very severe disease, and it just went away very fast. But like H1N1 is there every year. It just keeps on coming. So you don't know how this virus will behave, what will happen, whether it will keep on coming back, or whether it will keep on mutating, or whether it will just go away like some other viruses. So again, all this can only speculate. Time will tell. Wait and see.
So it doesn't mean that the virus has lost its potency. It just means that maybe we have the immunity for this virus already, or it has mutated to another virus that doesn't look like COVID-19 anymore.
Yeah, so we don't know. We don't know which is the reason. But viruses can lose their potency in the sense that, like they say, especially in hot climates, so hopefully summer coming up in the northern hemisphere, maybe that virus will become less active and hopefully won't be as, serious to humans as earlier. So
what causes something for maybe the Black Plague? It may not ever come back, but SARS, will it ever appear again, and why does that happen?
Yeah, we don't know whether suddenly the virus get active and why that happens, why nature suddenly decides to change. We know from viruses like measles, mumps, chickenpox and all that.
Yeah.
You take vaccines, the immunity, then they go away. Places where measles, so again, I suppose immunity. If enough of us have immunity, then the virus can't spread and just disappear.
That means technically humans are evolving?
Not evolving, that we are getting immunity towards certain viruses. So our antibodies, our immune system is probably getting better. So again, but we can never say, because you get immunity against one virus, another one comes, So ultimately, I always talk about making sure your immune system stays strong, so that no matter what comes, you still can, overcome that infection.
And I thought we were becoming mutants or something. I was like, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our second article. This one actually says that obesity can be improved with just 10 minutes. You can, if you're let's get to the next article. This one actually says that if you're obese, you can actually improve your heart health with just 10 minutes of exercise a day. So is this true, doctor? 10 minutes of exercise a day can help improve your heart health, especially if you're obese.
Yeah, I mean, if any movement, today they know that sitting down is worse than is than standing. So, and lying is of course worse than sitting. So even just people standing can have benefits to the heart. So walking 10 minutes a day is definitely going to help. Of course, they recommend 30 minutes, 5 times a week, 150 minutes. But 10 minutes, what I tell my patients is, because they're not very fit, I say do 10 minutes 3 times a day. Just do 10 minutes in the morning, in the afternoon, and evening or night. another 10 minutes. That's not very long, and it's possible because then you still get 30 minutes a day. And if you find 10 minutes is a bit too tough for you because you're really out of shape, try 5 minutes first and slowly build up to 6 minutes and 7 minutes, 8 minutes, and slowly go that way. The danger is don't do suddenly that, oh, doctor say must do 30 minutes a day, so I got to never exercise for don't know how many years, and then suddenly I decide to do 30 minutes. That can be dangerous because you don't know how fit you are. And even if you don't have a heart issue, your muscles are going to ache so much the next day that you will stop exercising for don't know how long.
Yeah.
Right? So start gradual. Simple way to start is just walk until you feel a bit breathless and add a minute every day. And that's how you slowly build up your fitness levels and improve your cardiovascular system. But even 10 minutes a day is a good start. Start with that. And of course, if you are above 40 and you have medical problems like diabetes, hypertension, or heart, or you've never done a medical checkup, I would at least advise you to do a medical checkup first, at least once, to make sure that you're fit to start an exercise program. But if you can't, just start slowly. Like I said, just walk, get a bit breathless, stop, so that your heart can slowly compensate for and your fitness will slowly improve. Right? So just start, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it is definitely going to be beneficial than just sitting down or lying down.
Okay. But what if this obese person or any person, already has blockages in his arteries that he isn't aware of? Will doing 10 minutes of exercise a day have an adverse effect on these people?
Yeah, just start walking until you get a bit breathless. That means you just take one deep breath and see how long was it. Was it 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes? Just stop. Don't even go for 10 minutes. Right? So the next day, today I walked 5 minutes and I had to take a deep breath. I stop. Next day I do 6 minutes. Day after I do 7 minutes. I just increase by a minute and go. But if you are above 40, I advise you at least once go and do a medical checkup. Make sure that the doctor says, okay, you're fit to no blood pressure, there's no diabetes. And the doctor is worried, they put you on a stress test to see how fit your heart is. And that'll be something. But if you feel that you're okay, then do it this way. Start gradually and build it up slowly. And even if you got blockages, your body will still be able to, the cardiovascular system, the heart is such that your cholesterol will form, you should be okay.
Okay.
And what does the test do actually? So it checks blockages and checks to see how much exercise you should be doing and how you can.
It looks at your fitness level. So when you are going up the stress test, we will see your heart rate. You see for any blockages, we will show on the ECG. We look at how fit you are. We look at your blood pressure. So number of things we can assess from the stress test. And if you can go up to your target heart rate without having any problems, then normally we say you can start an exercise program and build up from there.
All right. Let's move on to our next article. This is pretty scary. The age-old disease is back again in Congo. Congo confirms there are new Ebola cases there. What is Ebola? Let's get to that first, Doctor.
Just another viral infection. It started, I think the first one is in 1976 along the Ebola River. That's where the virus, that's why the name Ebola. And I think they got a few different type of strains also. 4 can affect humans. And it's another disease that, causes all the typical viral things, high fevers. But it can be quite serious. This Ebola can lead to pneumonias and lead to, brain infection, can cause death. So it can be a serious illness spread by body fluids. So someone who's got Ebola can spread it to other people through any body fluids. So
it's very similar to COVID-19, right?
It's almost like COVID-19 in that way spread. Now the thing is, so far the good thing one is that it seems to be only in Africa. We don't have Ebola here yet. And I think last year they already had a vaccine. Also, the vaccine is out for Ebola, and so that's a good thing. So at least if they can start vaccinating the people in Africa, so at least that might at least reduce the incidence of Ebola, and of course the virus might then, like all the others, like your rabies and your polio and your tetanus and all that, and your measles and all are slowly going away because there's a vaccine. Hopefully this will happen for Ebola. But it's a very new vaccine, so wait and see. But like I said, we are lucky it's not come here yet, and hopefully it doesn't come.
Why doesn't it come here? What is it a geographical thing? What is
Yeah,
it?
actually, how do you get Ebola? Is it from
Yeah.
the water, or because you
Water,
said it's
water.
from Ebola River, right?
So it's a water. So it's from food or water that you get it, and then
Oh.
direct contact from. So animal to human, a human to another human. The thing is, you are actually quite ill when you get Ebola. So for someone to fly in from Africa, by the time he comes here, he'll be ill. And and that's how in America they were very sporadic cases where people flew in and then they found that they actually were sick and then they went to hospital and they picked up they had Ebola. So that's the thing. So it can be easily diagnosed and treatment-wise, there's all symptomatic treatments. There's antibiotics for the viruses like COVID. We have symptomatic treatment, and but somehow it's never seems to come here. So hopefully it stays that way. But of course, can never say because an infected person can come in here and
Yeah.
pass it to other people. So that's why to be always careful about these viruses.
Yeah. But I guess in a way, we feel a little bit less worried now because there is a vaccine. Like you said, there is a vaccine for Ebola now.
Yeah.
Is there a treatment for Ebola?
Yeah.
Viruses, there's no real treatment. For Ebola, there's no antiviral drug that works. So it's just prevention. Taking all the same precautions we're doing for COVID, the same precautions you have to take with social isolation, sanitization, preventing contact with people who are sick, all those things.
Let's
I'm
move on.
scared enough of Ebola already. I don't want to find out anymore.
Let's get on with our next article. This one is pretty interesting. This study tries to explain why we might always be hungry. Doctor, what do they mean by that we have 5 different appetites?
Yeah, actually I was a bit confused myself, because we have all type of diets in the, that come on and go, and then suddenly they say 5 appetites, and that's the reason they talk of fat, protein, carbohydrates, sodium, and calcium. And these 5 things that our body actually needs, and we actually crave for that, and it's our caveman time. And if we have less of one, then we try to overcompensate by taking more of the other to get the. For example, if you don't take enough protein, then you might end up eating too much of carbohydrates and fats to compensate to get more proteins in, and so you might end up overeating, and that's why it's important that you have a very balanced diet. And of course, the article says that today most people eat a lot of processed foods, foods that are fast food, junk food, and because of that, they might not get enough proteins, and they end up eating more of that, and that's why all these problems, obesity and diabetes, hypertension, all the metabolic diseases. So I agree on that part. I think we should have a very wide variety of foods and a balanced food rather than trying to eat more of one. So other people do go on, things like a high protein diet, or they go on so-called
High fat diet, right? The keto diet is like a
keto
high
diet.
fat diet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
High
then
in
you had the
fat.
Atkins diet, which was high protein,
Atkins was the keto diet. It used a lot of high protein. A lot of the keto diets today are looking more at plant-based rather than, but they use a lot of high fat. So they take avocados and the things like fish and all those things. But as long as you got enough of each, that means you got enough proteins, you got enough carbs, and your carbs should come from healthy source carbs, the complex carbs, fruits and vegetables. And then if you take the fats, then it'll be quite good because you're taking the proteins, which can come, let's say, from the fish, and you got a lot of vegetables and fruits to give you the carbs, and you got good fats that are avocados, like nuts and all those things. So, adding legumes also will give you most of everything. So then you're very well balanced. But if you start eating only one source of food, then you must be very careful because then your body might start craving for others and you might end up overeating and all. Because I know people who, like the high fat one, where they end up just taking a lot of fat, a lot of nuts and a lot of avocados and all that, and they might suddenly not have enough of carbs and protein, and then they might end up overeating and then put on weight. So that's again not the right thing to do. So something interesting, something new. First time I reading was 5 appetites.
5 appetites.
Yeah, so basically they mean the 5 different type of food components that you
groups.
must have. Yeah, food groups.
Okay. But doctor, what are the other reasons for us to always be hungry then? If you're someone who is always hungry, like even after lunch, you still crave for to take snacks, and even after dinner, you still want to eat supper. Is there any other reasons why people are constantly hungry?
Obviously, because we're eating too much of refined carbs. So we are taking foods that are called high glycemic that disturb our insulin level. So the moment you take, let's say, in the morning I take a roti canai, two roti canais and teh tare with condensed milk and all that. So I got a lot of sugar going in,
Mm.
and the faster the insulin goes up, the faster it comes down. So by 10 o'clock, 10:30, our sugars will go low, and we get a bit of hunger pangs. Right, so we eat again, and then you end up eating things like curry puff and kueh, again sugar. So by 12:31, you're hungry again. Then you have
Yeah.
your nasi, the food nasi, this thing again. So it's a vicious cycle, and that's what happens to a lot of people. They go into these high glycemic foods, insulin resistance, and ultimately they end up getting all the problems, obesity and
So
diabetes and
it's always about a balance or a lack of balance in some
yeah,
within your system. Is that why some, especially pregnant ladies, they have strange appetites, like they crave different things?
that's different. I think because that's a hormonal thing that's
Hormone.
going on in pregnant ladies. But I think a lot of people this issue they're eating too much refined carbs. Let's say if you take for lunch just let's say two vegetables and some chicken or fish, you'll not feel sleepy, neither will you feel hungry. But if you take a full banana leaf rice, especially a lot of rice, by lunchtime, after lunch, you're going to feel very sleepy. All the blood supply goes to the stomach, and by 4 o'clock, you're still going to feel hungry again because your insulin has been disturbed, right? So again,
Right.
if you it's just the food choices you have. So cut off the refined carbs, and take a lot of complex carbs, protein, and bit of good fats. You'll never have problems.
I
But
think the problem is
I remember eating salads for lunch for quite some time. But even after having the salad, after a while, you feel like, oh no, I'm hungry again.
Because you're not eating enough, not enough. So the body is craving for it because you're
you need to
taken
take a
this.
whole garden, Bel.
So if you add salad and some protein inside, then you
Mm,
find it okay because the protein fills you up. Or you take
mm.
good fats like avocado or something like nuts together with the salad, then you'll be okay.
So if it's a salad that has maybe chicken and then or egg
Yeah,
and so it needs to be balanced.
yeah, bit balance. So you get the protein in, and then you won't feel the hunger pangs.
Right.
Okay.
The problem is most people have a seafood diet because once they see food, they want to eat.
That is actually I feel that's the most common diet in the world.
Seafood.
Yeah, seafood diet is the most common diet in the world, and I call it food addiction. We actually
Yeah.
addicted.
Mm,
We eat breakfast. We're already thinking of our tea and our lunch and our next meal. What is the next meal going to be? We
yeah.
are so addicted with. We have lunch. We're already thinking of tea break and dinner, right? So I think this is one problem that the world is facing: the seafood diet and food addiction. So, well, maybe if keep on educating people about that. Yeah.
Thanks. We will learn, like we learn a lot from you, Dr. Rajbans, especially about eating healthy.
Yeah, we,
so
we
that-
quote you all the time.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Rajbans always says about our immune system and everything. We always say,
or eating processed food.
yeah. And then we talk about blue zones now.
Then maybe we can do next time about plant-based meats. You know how they have these plant-based meats out nowadays, in the market? I'm thinking they must be quite processed because how can they look and taste like meat,
The thing is, they make it from this a chemical reaction. I think most of it comes from tofu, isn't it?
Yeah, like
Your
soy and wheat.
And then some
and
it's
stuff.
mushroom though.
Yeah, the mushroom one might better, but the way to make it, I'm just worried they use chemicals to create the taste. So I have so far avoided taking any of this thing. But now they're coming out with like what they said, mushrooms and legumes that are so-called tasting like meat, which might be a bit more healthier. But again, I don't know whether how they're creating the process.
Yeah.
Is it something healthy or is it too
Yeah,
chemical?
I was on that diet for a while. All this fake meats and everything because I wanted to be vegetarian gives you gas, man. My God, I don't know why.
So I think they might have a lot of chemicals inside. So I
Yeah.
would still avoid.
So I think you're better off eating fresh produce. Even if you're not going plant-based, eating fresh is better than eating
Compared to
processed.
natural, fresh,
Yeah.
I would go, if you can get free range chicken, great. You get, if you want to take anything meat that is, on a healthier part that is, especially free range. Now they're having all that, you know, so you got free range chicken, beef and eggs and everything. Fish is, deep sea fish, things like that. And of course, I would still make sure that you still take a lot of vegetables and fruits together with
Mm.
legumes and all that. So it comes very
Yeah.
natural, all natural food rather than taking a lot of processed foods.
Yeah.
Avoid processed.
Okay. All right, let's get to our final article. This one's pretty interesting. This article listed out some little known health benefits of pistachio nuts. So maybe, doctor, you can tell us what are some of the health benefits of eating
Do you like pistachios?
pistachios?
Yeah, I like pistachios. I think I love all nuts, all the nuts. It's the same. If you are what you eat, I'll be a nut. So I love all that.
Ah,
Almonds to cashews are actually legumes, but if you look at Brazil nuts and macadamia nuts and walnuts and pistachios and even seeds, sunflower seeds and all these seeds, I love that. But again, I think it has to be balanced. All nuts actually have all the same benefits that pistachio has. They got good protein, they got low in calories, they got good fats, they have got antioxidants. Like pistachio also got vitamin B6. And you go on to the benefits like they help in heart health, they help in can maintain your weight. They say even help in your blood pressure because of the B6 and all. So, but again, remember the earlier thing, don't overdo on one food,
Mm.
right? So it's part of your whole this thing. So you will take a handful of pistachios, go ahead, no problem. But I normally add them together with all my other nuts. So it's just one handful of different type of nuts, and but don't overdo on just one food.
Mm.
So it's very healthy, but I wouldn't want you to take one whole bucket of pistachios just because it's so-called healthy. Like, but all nuts actually fall into this category. They are actually quite healthy. They get a lot of good fats, proteins, and a lot of vitamins in mostly available.
Mm.
So it's good to take, no harm.
Is there a difference between getting like salted nuts or just plain roasted or honey coated, those type?
The moment you go into all those salted and honey coated and all these, then you're actually using a lot of the benefits of nuts. Just natural nuts.
Mm-mm.
You have to actually get organic or what, as long as they're nuts, natural nuts. But don't make it salted or honey or all those there. You lose some of the benefits and you end up extra calories and salt inside.
Yeah. Okay. But can we just live on a nut diet? Like, for example, breakfast, we have some cashew nuts, and lunch, we have some almond nuts, and then dinner, we have some pistachios.
Again, then it goes back to that, we are, the five appetites we just spoke about. So you're going to have problems. And I had a lady who was actually crazy about nuts and because she thought it was healthy.
Okay.
And came to me for one problem, she couldn't lose weight. But when she sat down a dietitian and calculated, she was taking so much of calories just from the nuts. So she was doing that. She was, though she was eating some normal things, healthy, that she exercised a lot. She did all the plant-based fruits and vegetables. But every meal, she had a whole number of nuts, a whole big bucket of nuts because she loved them. And that was so much of calories that she couldn't lose weight. So we had to advise her to cut down on those. So though they're healthy, but anything don't overdo.
Okay.
Balance is the
No,
key.
speaking of that, what about taking elements of nuts? Because I see a peanut oil and almond milk and this and this. It's not exactly still. It's not that nut that you're having. It's just elements of that. Is it just as healthy, or why do they even have these peanut oil and whatnot?
Suppose they want a healthier version, but peanuts and cashews are actually legumes. They don't fall under nuts, so they can be a bit more pro-inflammatory compared to nuts, which anti-inflammatory. So I'll be careful of those. So peanut oil and all that. Not too much of that. But yeah, some people, they like almond spray instead of eating the almonds, or they use almond milk and all that. But just be careful that look what else they put inside. Because sometimes the almond milk might have extra sugar inside, so you lose the benefit of just almond alone. Just check the labels. I rather prefer eating the almonds per se than getting all these other things that might have some processed food inside.
What is the proper, not dosage, but how much can we eat of nuts per day? What is the proper amount that we can eat per day?
A handful of nuts. That means your palm size. So I just put all in the palm. So some people say talk about 15 to 20. But also depends on how's your rest of your diet. If you're someone who is not eating a lot of other foods that are high calorie, then maybe you can take a bit of extra almonds or a bit of extra nuts. But I just put one handful of nuts in my palm. I think that should be enough. I actually, when you make nasi lemak, we got a lot of green vegetable there, cucumber there, and yeah, we use different nuts. So your nasi lemak can have almonds with a bit of walnuts or macadamia and all together. So not necessarily peanuts. So you can actually make a real healthy nasi lemak.
Which will cost 25 ringgit per packet.
Without the lemak, you can make just the nasi without the coconut milk.
Yeah, that's right.
And then substitute the peanuts for another nut and add more greens instead of fried chicken. Yeah.
Then it won't be nasi lemak anymore.
You got the egg there, the egg will be there, the nuts are there, you got the
Ikan bilis.
ikan bilis, you can put a bit. So yeah, it's still nice.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajbans, for this another edition of Health Wise today.
Thank you guys.